Toxic waste from the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio is coming to Indiana. A landfill in Rochdale started receiving truckloads of contaminated soil this week. And despite assurances from officials that the site is equipped to handle the waste, residents are worried about what they could be exposed to. At a public meeting this week, things got heated as residents demanded answers about the toxic shipments. Ethan Sandwise has more.
Hundreds of people gathered outside the Russellville Community Center Wednesday to make sure their concerns were heard during a town hall about the contaminated waste.
I'm concerned that if it gets into the ground, it's going to affect our tap water, and then we're going to end up looking like East Palestine.
The fiery train derailment happened a month ago near the Ohio-Pennsylvania border. The waste is being transported to 4 sites across the country. The news came out Tuesday that the waste was coming to Rochdale. Residents at Wednesday's town hall felt blindsided.
Why are you here? Hey, we're here to answer questions.
You didn't answer his question.
I will if you'll shut up, okay?
Dakota Carlton and his family live in Crawfordsville, about 15 miles north of the landfill where the waste started arriving.
I drove through it. I used to be a timber truck driver out there. So you're not going to blow smoke up mine.
Nearly a dozen police officers were dispatched to watch the crowd.
The testing and approval was completed yesterday. You can organize trucks to come within a 24-hour period before you let the people of the community that work know.
Tensions ran high.
Sir, you're confusing answers. I found out 72 hours ago that this was a possibility. He's answering a different question.
Residents expressed outrage at Heritage Environmental and demanded responses.
I will not sit down until my question is answered. When were these trucks accepted?
When were the trucks?
When were these trucks accepted, and have they already been dumped?
They were accepted today and they were dumped today.
Heritage Environmental revealed at the meeting that 3 trucks had already dumped their loads in Rochdale earlier that day. Heritage Environmental received approval from the EPA less than 24 hours prior.
We bid on the work with a number of other companies and happened to win one of the bids. EPA, we did. In EPA.
The company says it expects to receive 2,000 tons of polluted soil. That's about 100 truckloads, making the 400-mile trip from East Palestine across Ohio and Indiana to Rochdale. According to Heritage Environmental, independent lab testing shows the waste contains low concentrations of vinyl chloride and butyl acrylate, within the typical range for the landfill. Still, some feel the company put profit over safety.
Why didn't you give us the respect to see how we felt before you took this big deal? I just need to know why you didn't care to at least see how it would be received.
The landfill is above the Tipton Till aquifer system. Local Laura Scott says she wants answers about Heritage Environmental's long-term safety plans, but says she wasn't prepared for the antagonism from the crowd.
I don't think that some of the questions were answered completely just because of the acoustics in the gym and the hostility that was present directed toward the Heritage Environmental staff.
Nobody from the EPA or the Indiana Department of Environmental Management was at the meeting. But one former EPA director says what's happening in the Rochdale landfill is safe and ordinary.
It's a large landfill. It would have been routinely monitored by the state of Indiana, IDEM in particular. I don't think there should be any concern.
The site is EPA licensed and hasn't had issues with groundwater contamination, but it did receive a violation in 2019 for not analyzing inbound waste. Heritage Environmental says the landfill has 2 layers of PVC liner to prevent leaks and tests for runoff daily. Any breach would have to be reported immediately to the EPA. But Laura Scott wonders about what will happen long after the site is closed.
Your hazardous waste landfill is not a 41-year project. It will involve future generations who will live in Putnam County for hundreds of years to come.
We have Ethan here with us to tell us a little bit more. A lot has unfolded these last couple of days. Do you have an update?
Yeah, I do actually, Joe. Governor Eric Holcomb has already shared his displeasure with the toxic waste coming to Indiana. He said he's going to talk with the EPA about this. And his office just hired a third-party lab to test all the incoming waste before it comes to Indiana.
You know, Holcomb opposes the EPA's decision. Is there anything more he can do?
Aside from talking with them, which he says he's doing, not a whole heck of a lot. The interstate or the commerce clause of the Constitution prevents states from interfering with interstate commerce, so he basically has to let the toxic waste come.
Tensions really seemed high at that town hall. You were there, of course. Are there definite consequences to residents there as of now? I mean, have you heard anything?
Well, we did talk to an expert named Joseph Shaw. He studies environmental toxicology. He said that these contaminants that are coming to Roachdale, Indiana, things like butyl acrylate, they can cause symptoms like watery eyes or irritated skin, but they do degrade very quickly. Here's what he had to say.
When it does enter the environment, you know, it's going to break down and break down pretty rapidly. If it's a lot, like high volumes that are moving around, that can take a little while, and that's where potential issues lie.
So this is not stuff you want in your backyard, but if you take it to a site where they're able to handle it properly, it might not be such a big risk to your health.
Okay, Ethan, thanks so much for your reporting. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe.